Welcome back to Higher Maths, everybody. Hope we're all feeling ready for today's lesson. Now, today's lesson is just a small part of the straight line topic, but an important one. Probably won't take as long as the other lessons, but we'll see. First of all, we're starting the day off with a mathematical fact. Parallel lines have the same gradient. That is a fact you should already know. It's a very important one, and one that you need to try and remember. Right, moving on. Today's lesson is all about working out the gradient of a line when you've been told the equation. For example, if I told you we have y equals 5x add 2, I would expect everybody should be able to tell me what the gradient is. What's that I hear you say? It's 5! Of course it is. The gradient is the number before the x. That's what some of you might think. I'll come back to that explanation just in a little second. So for this example, gradient equals 5. Now, if we move on to something a wee bit harder, y equals 2x add 6. What's the gradient of that line? Go on. Who thinks it's 2? You're wrong. Now, going back to my earlier explanation, the gradient is the number before the x, but only when the equation says y equals. Not when it says 3y equals, only when it says y equals. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to do something to this equation so that it starts just y equals. This 3 is multiplying. If I take it to the other side, remember in maths, if you take something from one side to the other, it does the opposite of what it did before. The 3 will divide on the other side. Now, on the right hand side, I have two things. Both these things are going to get divided by 3. So I'm going to get 2 divided by 3. So that becomes 2/3 of x. And the 6, if I divide that by 3, it would just become 2. Now I can tell what the gradient is, because the gradient is the number before the x when the equation says y equals. So the gradient is 2/3. Let's try another example. Let's say we had 5y equals 10x minus 2. Again, the gradient is the number before the x, but only when the equation says y equals. This time the problem is the 5. I want rid of the 5. I'm going to take it to the other side. Again, it's multiplying over here. If I take it to the other side, it's going to divide. So I'm going to get y equals. I'm going to divide that by 5. 10 divided by 5 would make 2x. Take away. I need to divide this by 5. 2/5. Now sometimes you will notice you end up with a whole number answer, sometimes you end up with a fraction answer. That's just higher maths, that's the way it rolls. Okay, the gradient, the equation says y equals, the gradient is now the number in front of the x, so m will equal 2. What if we change what it looks like a wee bit? Let's say we have 4y add 6 equals 3x. So we need to get the equation to say y equals. This time there are two things on the left hand side stopping that from happening. We've got the 4 and we've got the 6. One of those gets moved first. Changing the subject to the formula. Remember that from last year? Okay, the first thing that goes is the 6. We're going to take the add 6 over to the other side. It will become a negative. Remember, when we take things from one side to the other, it does the opposite of what it did before. There we go. And now the 4's stopping the y from being by itself. I'm going to get rid of the 4. The 4 is multiplying. Take it to the other side. It will be dividing. I'm going to get 3 divided by 4, so 3/4 x. Take away. I could write 6/4. I will write 6/4. That simplifies to 3/2. But I'm not going to bother doing that just now because I can go and pick the gradient now. The gradient equals 3/4. Again, we can try and make it harder or easier just by changing what you start with. So if we start this time with 2x add 7y minus 3 equals 0. Remember, the gradient is a number in front of the x when the equation says y equals. So we need to make this equation say y equals. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 2x to the other side. I'm going to take the minus 3 to the other side. Remember, when you take them to the other side, they do the opposite of what they did before. So I'll be left with 7y. This positive 2x, if I take it to the other side, it'll become a minus 2x. This minus 3, if I take that to the other side, it'll become a positive 3. Now I need to get the y by itself. So I'm going to get rid of the 7. That's multiplying. Take it to the other side, it's going to be dividing. So minus 2 over 7x, add 3 over 7. The gradient is the number in front of the x. This time the gradient is minus 2/7. Last example before you guys try some. Let's say we had minus 3x, take away 5y, add 1 equals 0. Right, we need to get this into the format y equals. So, same as before, minus 3x and the plus 1 must go to the other side. Now, that's one way of doing it, but there is also a faster way of doing it. What I'm going to do is I notice I have minus 5y. I don't want my equation to end with a minus y. I want it to end with a positive y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and be smart here. I'm going to take this minus 5y to the other side. If I do that, I've got my minus 3x, I'll have my add 1, and now over here I'll have a positive 5y. Now, I don't think many of you will like working with the y over on the right hand side, so all I'm going to do now is just switch these around. Voila. Okay, get the y by itself, get rid of the 5, it's multiplying, take it to the other side, it's going to be dividing, y will equal minus 3 over 5x, add 1 over 5. The gradient is a number in front of the x. So the gradient this time is minus 3/5. There we go. So this is how you work out the gradient of a line when given its equation. Now it's time for you to have a wee shot. Here we go, folks. Question 1. Question 2, question 3 and 4, and question 5 and 6. Remember to pause the video and then you can work your way through these questions. And just in a wee minute, as if by magic, we'll go through the answers. On you go, get started, don't just wait until I put the answers up. Okay, question number 1. Get y by itself. The 2 is stopping it, take the 2 to the other side, it's multiplying so it divides on the other side, divide both things by 2, I'll get 3 over 2x, add 8 divided by 2, that'll give me 4. So in this one, my gradient is a number in front of the x, which is 3 over 2. Question 2. Get the y by itself. Get rid of the 3, take it to the other side, it's going to divide. 6 divided by 3, that'll give me 2. 5 divided by 3, that'll give me 5/3. The gradient is a number in front of the x. N equals 2. Question 3. Get the y by itself. First of all, I'm going to get rid of the add 5. Take that to the other side, it will do the opposite of what it did before, so it will become a minus 5. Get the y by itself, get rid of the 2, take it to the other side, it's going to divide, I'll get minus 7 over 2, minus 5 over 2. The gradient is the number in front of the x. So this time the gradient is minus 7 over 2. Question 4. Again, going to try and get the y by itself, so I'm going to get rid of the 4x, I'm going to get rid of the minus 1, they're going to get taken to the other side where they'll do the opposite of what they did before. So 4x will become minus 4x, minus 1 will become positive 1. Then get the y by itself by getting rid of the 5. The 5 is multiplying on the left, take it to the right, it's going to be dividing. Minus 4 over 5x, add 1 over 5. So the gradient is a number in front of the x, so the gradient this time is minus 4/5. Last one, last two, would help if I could count. Question 5, we're going to try and get that thing by itself. Now, like the last example I did, I don't want to end up with a minus y. So I'm going to take this minus 3y to the other side as my first step. So I'll get minus x, add 2, and now on the right hand side I'll have this positive 3y. Same as in my last example that I did, I'll switch this around because we're used to working with the y's on the other side. And now I'm going to have to divide by 3. Now, some of you might be wondering, how do I divide this by 3? There isn't a number there. There is. Remember, minus x is minus 1x. So that'll be minus 1 over 3x. Divide this thing by 3. And there we go. Gradient's a number in front of the x. So the gradient is minus 1/3. Last one. Hopefully you're on for 6 out of 6. Get the y by itself. Again, I've got a minus y. I'm going to take that to the other side. 5x will equal 6 add y. Get the y by itself. Get rid of the 6. The 6 is positive. Get it on the left hand side. It will be negative. So I get 5x minus 6, and that's going to equal my y. If you want, spin these round. In this occasion, I'm already with a y. I don't have to do any dividing, just because of what the question started me off with. The gradient is a number in front of the x. So the gradient is 5. And that is how you find the gradient of a line given the equation. Most important thing to remember, folks, is when we do this, yes, the gradient is the number in front of the x, but only when the equation starts with y equals. At this level of math, it rarely ever starts with y equals. You need to try and manipulate the formula to get it to say y equals. You're going to take things from one side to the other. When you do that, they do the opposite of what they did before. Okay, thanks very much, folks. I'll be back with another higher maths lesson in the near future.